Hi, I'm Mohit Lalwani and this is India Inc. On this show, we endeavor to reveal the superpowers of those men and women who have leapt across barriers that most of us can only see as a distant blur. Now, these aren't the superpowers that you see in comic books where you can take your fist and put it through a wall with. It's simply the ability to have a dream, chase it, and build a palette for success. Kishi Arora seems just like the girl next door, and so she is. She is also the owner of Foodaholics. Kishi has baked up a sprawling business, quite literally. Here's how she did it.
When someone's hungry and then they enjoy your stuff. Oh, you saved my day, so that's obviously happiness, or that smile that comes in someone's face. I feel I'm getting blessings, like.
Je t'aime au passé.
Pastry chef, 28 years old, lived in Delhi, lived in the US, now living in Delhi. Born in Banaras, so I come from the Holy Land. I miss my grandmother, who's actually the reason why we all cook at home. I went to FSWAL Bharti, and then I did my college in SRCC, and after that I went to CI, which is the Culinary Institute of America, and I did my course there. I specialized baking and pastry, and after that I worked in the US and then moved here to India. I used to watch this serial on TV when I lived alone in India because my family used to live in Singapore, called Yan Can Cook. So that's where I actually started looking at food, and I was like, if he can cook, I can cook too, But like any other usual kid who goes to college, I thought I'll end up doing my masters in business and stuff because I went to SRCC. But one fine random day, I just quietly applied to the Culinary Institute and I got accepted. And I told my parents that I think I'm going to go to a culinary school, to which my whole family freaked out. Papa's into business, he's into cables and stuff. Mom's a housewife who organizes her husband's life basically. So she takes care of some of his work, and then they cook, all of them, they're big foodies. And I applied for a culinary course thinking I'll become a chef, and I'm a vegetarian. And when I went up there and I had to butcher and things like that, I freaked out a bit because I've never really eaten meat in my life. So it sort of scared me, and I said, you know what, I'm going to apply for baking and pastry because what worse can happen? Only breaking of eggs. And I never knew I wanted to be a baker because I never went with that mindset. So it was fun, because it happened by default. It was completely a surprise thing to me. What was scary was when I had my product knowledge class. I had 50 tomatoes lying in front of me and I had to remember what kind of tomato each. And I was like, they all look tomatoes to me. But then I found out it has Roma tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, plum tomatoes. We grew up with just basic desi tomatoes that you get from, like the sabji wala, from all you know. So just things like this, which was challenging, was to learn, because you're not only learning from that country perspective, but international perspective, Italy, France, wherever food is big. I was working in Seattle, then I worked in San Diego. I was a pastry chef at Four Seasons. Then I moved back to Singapore because my family was living there. And then I came over to India for a holiday and I've not gone back since. I don't think there is a right time. I think it's all about the gut feeling in the moment and believing in yourself. I think what it needs is that moment you have to be strong and you have to decide, okay, this is what I'm going to go for. And you believe in it. Once you believe in it, it works well for you, I think. Business by chance. I don't think my life I've ever been the kind who plans it completely anyways. It's more like what happens, we'll see. I came here and then, my mother was not doing so well and I was like, okay, I'm going to spend some time at home. And meanwhile, because I cook and I bake, I was doing that and my friends were pushing me and they were like, why don't you start something of your own? Because then you can start selling on a commercial level. And I was like, no, I'm going back. And I was actually going back to Singapore. I went back to Singapore, I came back again. And that's the time I opened up Foodaholics and I was like, okay, I'm gonna start selling stuff here and let's see how it goes. And without any, initial thoughts and like putting in too much effort or anything, and it was very simple, just opened up a sole proprietorship and started. And I don't believe that you have to go to a school. Schools help. Schools definitely help. They help you think in a different manner. But I don't think you have to go to a school in order to learn something. I think it's all about your own energy, your own your own way of looking at things. I mean, you just learn by experience. Self-motivation is the best way to learn something. A lot of people in India, especially all the young people now, are into this whole thing of, working into a business, starting their own thing, because I think the creativity level is really high. And if you have a boss sometimes, you'll realize that, your creativity can be stopped because you're following a chain of command and things like that. So it's an amalgamation of a whole bunch of things, probably not having the best boss, having a lot of creative ideas, and not working for someone, working for yourself. You know how I've always thought, like, if I'm putting in 20 hours for a company, why not start my own? And I think that's what a lot of people are going through now. Like, they want to start their own things, and they want to sort of try new areas which no one else has tried, and they want to rise in that. I used to have these conversations with my grandma that when you go to bed, you should feel proud of what you're doing and you should enjoy it. I do want to make sure that I'm involved in my work. I'm not saying micromanaging all the time, but at the same time I'm involved with my work, because I don't want to become yet one of those corporate chefs. I want to keep it small and simple, but at the same time I also want to grow. I want to make sure that if someone is visiting India, they do think of foodaholics and coming and visiting here and saying, there's this place, their cakes are to die for. That's what I want to be known as. So for me, it's not about scalability of like having multiple chains, because I've never believed in them. I don't think about positive or negative feedback, just the fact that someone calls back and says, you know what, we enjoyed this. This is the thing we would want if you can change, because ours is customized. I have this habit, whenever someone calls, I save their name and I save their details in my phone. So when they call, I know their name, who's calling, and I save it in a very funny manner. I mean, I'll save it that she said so and so, and then I'll save the name that way. So just talking to that person again, and then they have this smile, I know for sure, because they're like, oh, you remember my name? And I'm like, yeah, because I want to remember what you asked, and so that I can cater to it again. You have to just have a sort of a USP. You have to have some faith in yourself, and you really have to strive hard to make something different. I don't want to, just go like, okay, I'm going to multiply in Bombay, I'm going to multiply in Chennai, and things like that. I want to go slowly. I want to capture Delhi first, then go, one at a time, one step at a time. Yes, there'll be a lot of rules and laws with government and things like that, but I think government's doing a lot of things, where they're, catching up with people and saying, okay, you know what, why don't you invest this way? Why don't you start this way? A lot of venture capitalists saying, you know what, we'll put in money in your business, because I think it's a very neat idea.